So this fan's forcing air through. So remember, the apples build up ethylene concentrations and they respire. So we need to keep the temperatures down and we need to flush out the air. Well, this system, the way that the cooling works is by using outside air. Now, sometimes the outside air is really cold, right? Because you're storing them through January. You're storing it from times when it's so cold that you don't need to cool it off anymore. In fact, what you need to do is add humidity because it's cold and therefore it's not able to hold very much moisture. So this thing might just be adding humidity. And you might only get the new air once heat starts to build up in that box enough that you start flushing air through. But the thing is, you want to store from late October through as far as you can get into spring, as you can maybe to May. So if you want to store for that period, you're going to have days when it's 50 degrees outside. So it turns out that we can use, typically speaking, we can use 45-degree outside air and drop the temperature down to 34 degrees Fahrenheit inside by adding the moisture. So that means that there's a huge portion of the year when you only need a fan and a humidifier instead of the compression refrigeration. And as a bonus, if it's something like apples or carrots or anything that gives off ethylene or is ethylene sensitive, by flushing that system out with more fresh air, you're actually making the storage work better. Also, because you're not doing the refrigeration where you're passing the air over a cold coil and dehumidifying the air. Instead, you're actually humidifying the air. So now, those fruits are less likely to dry out. They're less likely to give off their moisture through their skin because it's close to, it's like 98% relative humidity in there. It's very, very humid, which is what they like. We don't like that space, but it's great for the veggies, So, so that's how that system works. To circulate the air, you need to make sure that you're evenly distributing the humidity and the temperature throughout the box. The typical way to do this is to take those evaporator coils, right, the cold coils, and they have that fan that blows through them. Well, you just make the fan run 100% of the time. Well, there's a lot of resistance, air resistance through those coils because they're all, it's like a little fine screen that you've got to blow through. So that means you have to have a more powerful fan. Instead, we took, I wonder if I have a fan, like a cheap $30 fan from Home Depot and put a little bit of flex duct on it and ran it all the way to the far corner of the thing, and that ran 100% of the time. But now it's sucking here, but the freshest, the air is being directed as far away from it as possible, forcing it to go through all the pallets of, or buckets, whatever the boxes, what do they call them? These boxes of, in this case, carrots that we were storing. Through the stored produce, forcing good circulation at 40 watts instead of 200 watts. So that's a big savings. If you pause that, I can pull up a graph.